Howdy peeps, Lois here again. Okay, I'm going to try and make this a short video, but it's a very important one, I feel. I've sat with it for a few days, but I feel very, very passionate about it, but I needed to calm my own emotions down around this so that I could convey this message to you guys in the best way. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lois. I'm a mindset and empowerment coach. I also help people understand what manifestation is all about, but my primary aim is to help any viewers out there who want to heal their past traumas, who want to move towards their future with more confidence, more empowerment, and become the best versions of themselves, essentially. I work with men and women, so if it's something you feel that you could do with, if you'd like a coach to help you with anything you might be dealing with, then definitely get in touch. My details are in the drop box below. So with that said, also like, share and subscribe, because the more people get to see these videos, the more people we're helping. And the whole point of this is that it's a community, it's a collective, and nobody should ever feel like they're dealing with anything on their own. Anyway, that aside, this video is about boundaries. This word gets thrown around an awful lot, and I watched a video the other day from a manifestation coach, and she was literally screaming at people about, well, the title I think was "People who have boundaries have really shit self-concepts." And that straight away caused such a rage inside me, because that is utter fucking bollocks. Boundaries are the most significant way of affirming to yourself that you value yourself, appreciate yourself, love yourself, and respect yourself. Because when we're growing up, a lot of us that have experienced any kind of hurt, trauma, painful experiences, we know that we've developed these stories in our minds, and we've developed these limiting beliefs and these self-critical perceptions of ourselves and our situations and circumstances and other people. But the common denominator is that in all of us as children, we never had a voice. We were never able to fully express ourselves. And we were never able to install healthy boundaries. So if you were abused, if you were overly criticized, if you were abandoned, if you were neglected, if you were in situations that were overwhelming, you didn't have the resources to cope with that and to process that information. And so that's led you down this path of life of being drawn to similar situations and similar people. That's why you find certain people end up dating the same kind or the same type of person, just a different face, essentially. So you see people that end up constantly being in abusive relationships, or they constantly experience being cheated on or abandoned, or they experience situations where they're not valued, not respected. The purpose of a boundary is to empower yourself and to no longer identify as the version of you who has no control over themselves, who has no voice, who has no power, essentially. Boundaries are simply your way of saying no more. It is when you have fully gained the awareness to understand your patterns and your behaviors and the things that you are attracting, but also the things that you are allowing. Because at the end of the day, nobody can hurt you, no one can abuse you, and no one can treat you like shit unless you allow that behavior to happen. Now, people can say things to you. Someone can be derogatory, someone can be disrespectful, and someone can be very hurtful towards you. But you have the choice to nip that in the bud and say, sorry, I'm not accepting that. I'm not allowing that. That's not happening on my watch. That's what a boundary is for. It is to remind yourself that now you do have a fucking choice. You do have a say. You do have a voice. And you do have the power to change your life. And what happens, as we find, is if you allow somebody to disrespect you and you say nothing, you're giving the message to that person that it's okay to treat you like that. And it's not okay, right? We don't want people to be like that with us anymore. When you keep entertaining situationships or people that, hot and cold, people that ghost you, or you find yourself in environments with people that don't have your best interests at heart, it is down to you to make that critical judgment of what you will and you won't accept anymore. And when you do this healing work, which is a lifelong process, by the way, you never stop. But when you start to really work on your issues, your triggers, your traumas, your beliefs, whatever it is, when you really do that inner work and you gradually start to build your confidence and you gradually start to build your self-worth, a key part of that is recognizing what you will no longer accept and tolerate in your life anymore. Those boundaries are not meant to be used to avoid situations, to avoid conflict, to avoid uncomfortable discussions. They are not there for you to run away from situations and people. They are not there as an excuse to disconnect and hide away. That's not how they're meant to be used. So if you're using them for that purpose, you've got this shit wrong. Your boundaries are your way of letting other people know, but more importantly, letting yourself know that now you have a new standard, that you have raised the bar from where you would previously tolerate bullshit to no longer tolerating bullshit. That you have now understood your value and worth, that you love yourself, respect yourself, and value yourself so much that you will no longer tolerate and accept anyone that does not treat you the way that you want to be treated. Now, in the manifesting community, and what this coach, I think, was alluding to, is that when you have a really good self-concept and you love yourself and you respect yourself and all of these things, you don't need to verbalize boundaries. You don't need to set boundaries with people, because when you feel so good about yourself, you can just change it with your mind. And to a degree, that's true, because you could just walk away from situations. But you are doing yourself and the other person a disservice, because if you allow that person to think that that's okay. So say somebody, was very derogatory to you, put you down, and you decided to be the bigger person and just walk away, just not get involved in the discussion. You have not made that person aware that their behavior is, number one, not acceptable, and number two, is definitely not acceptable for you. And by setting a boundary, you are reminding yourself of this new standard that you've set, of this new self-love, self-respect, and self-belief that you have, that you no longer will entertain people like that. You will no longer find yourself in situations like that anymore, because you are so aware of it. Setting boundaries is the most self-loving, self-respecting thing you can do, but you have to use it appropriately. So if someone speaks to you unkindly, you don't have to overreact. You can just say to someone, whoa, sorry, what you just said there, I'm sorry, but that was really out of order, or that was uncalled for, or what you just said, that actually offended me. That upset me. Now, if you want to apologize for that, we're all good. But if you want to continue talking to me in that way, you're going to have to change your tone, or this conversation and this dynamic is done. You know, if somebody ghosts you, or they're hot and cold, or you feel like they're just messing you around, you have to set that boundary to say, excuse me, I appreciate maybe you've got something going on. Maybe you're not into this like I am, but that's not how I do things. That's not the kind of interaction that I want. And you are more than fucking entitled to set that standard for yourself. And when you do, that is when your 3D changes, because you know that you have embodied the state of somebody who no longer identifies as a victim, who no longer identifies as someone who is treated poorly, and you no longer identify as someone who will accept anything less than the best. And that's what you deserve. So if you are listening to other coaches, if you are listening to manifestation people, if you are just anywhere on the internet, or even just out amongst your friends and family, and you've got people telling you that, oh, you shouldn't need boundaries, I would actually say that those kind of people probably need it more than most. Boundaries are not a bad thing. They really are not. But you have to use them appropriately. You have to use them for yourself. It's not a protective mechanism. It's not a way of like basically making sure that you never ever deal with conflict, that you never ever experience, you know, people disrespecting you or using you or cheating on you. It's not for that reason. It's for your self benefit, that you then become so aware of patterns and behaviors that you don't allow them to become part of your experience, that you can see these things happening before they escalate and you nip it in the bud. That's essentially what you're doing. And the more that you do that, the less you experience it, because you no longer allow yourself to be in those situations anymore, or to experience that. Now, there are always going to be people that will try it. Okay, you're not going to avoid it completely, but what you do, you become a whole different person, because setting these boundaries is you raising your standards for yourself. It's letting everybody else know, but more importantly, letting you know that this shit's done. That old victim version of you, the old version of you that would have put up with it, that would have experienced it, that would have allowed it, that would have just accepted it, that would have just rolled over and just done whatever, no longer exists anymore. And that's the point of self-concept work, is getting yourself to identify with a new version of you who is empowered, who is strong, who is confident, who loves and respects themselves and values themselves. So boundaries are an essential part of that. But like I said, you've got to use them wisely. They're not there for you to exclude everybody that might trigger you and might cause you upset. They're for your own benefit, to understand that you have shifted, that you no longer identify as that you have set new standards for yourself. And you will keep raising that bar. At least I hope so. Because we all should. As we grow and evolve, we should all be raising those standards for ourselves. Going from, I'll just take this job and do whatever, to I'm going to do something that I enjoy, to I'm going to do something that really helps people, to I'm going to go and make a difference in the world. You know, you go from, well, I'll date this person because they're the only person interested in me, to actually, I want someone that's got more in common with me, to actually, I want to meet somebody that's on my mental, physical, emotional wavelength, to I know the kind of relationship I want, the kind of relationship I deserve, and I won't accept anything less than that. That doesn't make you big-headed. It doesn't make you egotistical. It doesn't make you any of those things. It just makes you value yourself. And the more that you do that, the more that people will start to respect you too. It's some people are not aware of the way they act because they're also working from their conditioning, their wounding, their traumas, their issues, their shit that's going on inside their head. So if someone's a bully or someone's derogatory or someone's always critical, you have to also understand they're coming from a wounded place too. And so you're actually helping them by saying, hey, that was out of order. Sorry, I didn't appreciate that. Or the way you speak to me, I don't like it. And if it's going to carry on, then this friendship has to end, or this relationship must end, or this interaction must end. So I really hope this has sunk in. And if anyone out there is telling you that boundaries are unnecessary or that you're a weak person for having them, just tell them to fuck off. This is your journey, your life. You have to do things the way that you feel is best for you. And raising your standards, loving yourself, respecting yourself, and valuing yourself is essential. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about it. I hope that helps. And yeah, hope you keep enjoying the videos. If there's anything you'd love to add, anything you'd like to share, please add a comment in the box below. And yeah, keep smiling. And I'll speak to you all again soon in another video. Ciao for now.